everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Marie with Modern Day Vet Podcast, where we bridge the gap between military transitioning into the civilian sector. So what are we going to talk about today? Today, we're going to talk about life insurance. And it may not be something that you think you want to speak about because obviously there's a negative to it, but it's something that we need to be prepared for. And I never really took life insurance serious until my father passed away, and he didn't really believe in life insurance. I don't know if that's like an old Hispanic thing of just like not believing in life insurance and thinking we're good to go. Thankfully, we are good to go from the strength of our family, but life insurance is something very important. Unless you're a millionaire and you've set your kids up, and then it's something you don't have to worry about. But for the most part, I don't really know much millionaires that are watching my podcast. So life insurance is very important. So when I was in Chicago and so first of all, let me clear something up. My podcast just premiered a few days ago. I am fully aware that Chicago is not a state. It's Illinois. But I kept saying Chicago, the state of Chicago is shitty. And I stand by what I said. But I will correct my statement to say the state of Illinois is shitty. You guys are still fucking shitty. But anyway, be nice to me in the comments. Like, social media is already rough to begin with. If you don't like my dark humor, just go somewhere else. But when I was getting ready, it's stuff that you don't think about. So when I was in Chicago, the city of Chicago, I was actually supposed to ship to Afghanistan. And it just so happens that God was on my side and I didn't ship to Afghanistan because, to be honest, by the time I was scheduled to come back from Afghanistan, my father literally would have passed away 2 months later. And I don't even know how I would have responded to that news. But when you are ready to ship, stuff change all the time. This is just based on when I was going through it. And I would say that was probably around 2018. My chain of command came by and they were actually giving everybody the opportunity. So they were asking everybody, hey, do you want to go to Afghanistan to shoot CT? I was going to say CT x-rays, CT scans. And I was like, yeah, they went through with everybody and they asked to see who wanted to go, who didn't want to go. And if you didn't want to go, then you say, no, I don't want to go. I hated Illinois that much that I actually said, yes, I would go to Afghanistan. So, and then I'm just coking and joking with my friends and I'm like, they're not going to fucking pick me. Like, I could barely run. I'm not the person. I was the last person that I thought they would pick to go to Afghanistan. However, they picked me. They went around and they were just like, oh, okay, so we chose you to go to Afghanistan. This is all the stuff you need to get done. So I, little by little, I actually mentally was checking out mentally with everything because, like, when you're prepping to go on a deployment, you have to have things in order before you leave in case you don't come back. And it's not something that you really think about until you have to go through the paperwork and do all that. So when you're preparing to go to, I wouldn't say combat because I was in medical, but in a combat area, you have to make sure your will is up to date. You need to make sure your beneficiaries are up to date with your life insurance. You need to make sure you speak to the person about what you want to do with your body. If your remains have to come back to the United States, who are your remains going to come back to? And it's stuff that you don't want to think about, but it's a part of life and it's things that need to be spoken about. So obviously my mother was the beneficiary for everything. She was the beneficiary for my life insurance. If I were to deploy and not come back, she would be the person that was going to carry my body. She would be the person to literally get everything. You have to tell them like, hey, I want to be cremated. I don't want to have a viewing, all this stuff. And as graphic as it may seem, there's sailors, soldiers, coastmen, airmen. There's people going through this all the time. And there is bodies that don't come back. So even though we're talking about veteran life insurance and it's not as graphic because you're already out of the military, things happen all the time. And as I get older, I never really like watching the news, but I watch it now. And the world is a shit show. It's probably always been a shit show, but now that I watch the news, I see how bad it is. So life insurance is something very, very important to have. So when you're in the military in boot camp, and I'm just referring from my experience, stuff that's important like life insurance, TSP, which is your savings, any type of other investment stuff, they kind of breeze through it very quickly. Like they don't give you the background of it, and you're dealing with all this paperwork and you're already stressed out because you're in boot camp. So you're just saying yes to things and you're literally in classes, you're tired, you're stressed out. Excuse me, your hair is lopsided, you look a hot ass mess, you have some hot ass breath. Like you just look rough. From what I've seen, boot camp has changed a lot. Like you don't have to cut your hair anymore, which I was hating on you guys that you guys did not have to cut your hair anymore. When I went through boot camp in 2011, everybody was looking at me because they were waiting for me to cry. My hair was down to my butt. I'm not going to say bitch. I'm not going to call her a bitch. This lady, which I'm pretty sure these women are not trained to cut hair by any means. Like anybody could hold that job. Obviously, it's not a job anymore because they teach you guys how to wear buns. But when I was going through, they would cut your hair to your chin. And it wasn't a professional haircut because the focus is you're there to meet the mission, to be physically fit, to learn the education of the Navy as quick as possible within those 2-3 months. I don't know. I can't remember how long boot camp is. Probably 2 months. My memory's not that good. This fucking chick gave me a lopsided haircut, man. She parted my hair down the middle. One side came up to my chin and then the other side came down a little bit more. It was fucking horrendous. And one of my friends, I'm not going to say his name, but he had a picture of my fucking cat card. CAC, because the last C is card, but I say cat card, whatever. Don't correct me. He has the fucking picture. It's somewhere on social media. So if you want to look for it, you can, but that picture is somewhere on social media. So, but anyway, back to the serious part of it. The military, I could only talk about the Navy. I can't talk about the Air Force or anything else. They kind of overlook the important stuff because to them, it's not really important. Like they just want you to know what comes first, which is the mission, right? So when you're active duty, you have the SGLI bill, which is, because I don't want to fuck up any acronyms, Service Members Group Life Insurance. It's in acronyms. It's in increments of $50K, so $50,000. So you could go as low as $50,000 all the way up to $500,000. I don't want to get too much into the service life insurance because that's when you're currently active duty. So when you're currently active duty, let's say you went through boot camp and you weren't really paying attention. So you just said, I just need $75,000. Let's say your family grows or you have children, which also equates to your family growing. But you know what I mean? Your family grows and you want to change the amount of money you want to do. Go into your Military Connect, where you change your DEERs, all that stuff. Go to Mil Connect and you're going to update your online service thing to go for whatever amount you want to do. To be honest, I personally would do $500K. That's just me. I'm not selling you guys life insurance. I don't have a life insurance license. I'm just saying if you want your family to be set, especially if you're leaving behind children or your spouse or any debt or anything, it would be smart to have $500K in life insurance, which is actually really cheap. I don't have the exact number, but I want to say it's not much. Like you're literally only paying probably like $30 to $40 monthly on your premium for having life insurance. And what that is, God forbid you were to pass away while you're in uniform, while you're serving your country, your beneficiary, which is the person that you decide to get the funds of when you pass away, they would get the $500K or whatever the increment you decide to do, $150K, $200K. But There's also a calculator on va.gov, which is as active duty, you can use it as well. And I'll tell you what it has. The average burial cost for the United States is $8,000. If you pass away in active duty, I'm not quite sure. I think they would pay for the burial expenses. I'm not quite sure, but I think they do. Don't quote me. And if you know the information, just be sure to comment down below. I know that you can't comment, or I don't think you could comment on Spotify or Apple. My stuff is also on YouTube. So you could go to my YouTube channel and comment on the YouTube video. Be kind. So if I'm saying something wrong or something's been updated, just update it in the comments. Like, we're a community. That's the purpose of this podcast, is to be a community, to correct each other, to be like, hey, this updated 2 months ago. This is what's going on now. So I'm not active duty. I know a lot of things have changed since I've gotten out from active duty. So if I'm saying something wrong, just correct me in the comments kindly, because I will come for you. No, I'm playing. But just be kind. Let's be professional, please. So on va.gov, there is a calculator that can calculate your needs. So like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, or I'm not a life insurance agent. So if you want to use the calculator, it will ask you, like I said, the death expenses, the average is $8,000. Your housing costs. So if you own the home or if you rent the home, you put that. Your education costs, if you're going to school, if you have any auto loans, if they're still trying to give E1s and E2s chargers out there with a 20% APR rate or whatever it is. That's just what they do. But if you are an E1, E2 driving a charger, please don't. Like, there's just no need for it. You don't even have the money to pay for that shit. But yeah, about that. Anyway, back to being focused. Emergency fund, credit cards, any other type of debt. And then it'll auto-populate what would be what you need. So let's say what you need is $200. You'll go back to Milk Connect and you'll put, okay, I'll have $200 for life insurance, and I'll update my beneficiary to my side chick, my wife, whoever the hell you want to put your beneficiary for. That's your business. Just know that you can update it whenever you want. Just want to put that out there. The next form of life insurance, which is the one that we're going to get into for veterans, it's VSGLI, which is the Veterans Life Insurance. So once you get out of the military, you are not automatically enrolled into veteran life insurance. You need to enroll yourself. When I got out in 2020, they could possibly still be doing this. The VA actually automatically called me, and they called me quarterly. And the lady was super sweet, super polite. And she introduced herself. She told me all the benefits that the VA had to offer, what in my mind I needed at the time. Like, do you need mental health counseling? Do you need women's health counseling? Are you trying to have children? Like, what are you currently trying to do? I'm hoping that they're still doing the same thing, but if they're not, you could call the VA yourself as well. And she told me, well, for one, they mailed me a VA handbook. So you should, for the most part, get a VA handbook mailed to you if you decide to pick up the phone and have a conversation with these representatives. I don't really know. I don't know what they're called, but there's someone that calls you quarterly just for the first year that you're out, just to kind of make sure you're good. And if you need help or any guidance with anything, if they don't call you, well, obviously that's the point of the podcast. So on va.gov, they also have the Veterans Handbook that you could download yourself. And you could just kind of skip through it and kind of see what chapters kind of correlate with what you're trying to do currently. So if you're about to retire, only if you're about to retire, within 120 days, you could transfer right now to the veteran life insurance. And the veteran life insurance is the same exact thing. It's up to $500K, and you pay the premium, but you don't pay the premium monthly, you pay it quarterly. So you'll get a bill quarterly. And to be honest, my premium, I think it wasn't much. It was like $90 quarterly. So for it to be $90 quarterly is very good. Now, excuse me, when you, let's say you forget to do the VGLI, you don't have to do the Veterans Life Insurance. You can go to a commercial, you can go with a commercial company and do a commercial company as well. Now, let's say you wanted to do a commercial company with the GI Bill. We're definitely not talking about the fucking GI Bill right now. Let's say you want to do commercial life insurance with your current SGLI, which you can do. It has to be within 120 days of you exiting the military. So within 120 days, there's actually a list with, if you go on va.gov, I don't have the list offhand, but I know New York Life is one of them. Northwestern Mutual is one. The list is about probably like 6 to 10 stuff that automatically work with the VGLI that you already have, the SGLI that you have from active duty. You can do that. Or like I said, if you want to stick with the VGLI, make sure you do that within 240 days. Actually, it's not 120 days. After 240 days, you can still try to attempt to use the VGLI. However, they're going to have a medical appointment. So before the 240 days, you could transfer the SGLI straight to the VGLI without having to show that you have any medical, any medical effects or anything wrong with you medically. Like, let's say you're filing for disability and you do have a lot wrong with you. The premium won't go up because you're automatically transferring over. However, if you pass the 240 days, you do have to show medical proof. And with medical proof, they're going to ask you if you have any medical disabilities. And it's not a life or death situation. Like, you can possibly get approved with a commercial life insurance. However, the point is to hopefully do everything the easy route. And then the VGLI also has a cheaper premium than the commercial life insurances. One other thing, so I did not know about this until I was doing my research, but it is no longer part of something you can do. So apparently before December 31st of 2022, it's not something that you automatically get enrolled in. If you have any service-connected disability between 0 to 100, you would, you're not automatically, but you would get $10,000 free. Like, you wouldn't have to pay a premium of life insurance for the $10,000. However, after July 1st of 2023, they're no longer doing that. Whoever has it previously and enrolled, because it's not an automatic enrollment. If you did enroll, you can still keep it. However, if you decide to go to the VA Life, which I'm about to discuss in a few, if you decide to go to the VA Life, it will discontinue the Service Disabled Veterans Life Insurance, which is SDVI. Like I said, that one's no longer in effect unless you signed up for it prior to December 2022. So the VA life insurance, that one, you could sign up for it if you have a service-connected disability between 0 and 100. With that one, you have no medical appointment to do. You will get an automatic coverage of up to $40,000 in increments of $10,000. So you can do, and you also need to be 80 years or younger. So if you have, and it's also a whole life insurance. I'm not too familiar with the whole term life and whole life. I know that whole life is a little bit more expensive, but like I said, you don't need to take a medical appointment. So if you're over your 240 days to switch out your SGLI from while you were active duty serving to your VGLI, you could at least have that in the back. Now, if you have VGLI, you could also get VA Life. So with the VA Life, you're going to pay the premium for 2 years. It doesn't go in full effect until you do the premium of 2 years. So if you pass away before the 2 years is up, they'll give you just whatever you paid of the premium, a certain percentage. However, if you pass away after the 2 years, then you get the full 40K or whatever increments you did. You could do the 10K, 20K, 30K. Like I said, I recommend doing a higher percentage, especially if the premiums are cheaper than the commercial ones out there. But you can always go the commercial route as well. This is just me providing information for people that are on a budget or would just like to stick with stuff that the VA provides. But there's New York Life you could go with, Northwestern, John Hancock, State Farm. What are the other ones? The VGLI is actually through Prudential, but it's associated with the VA. Now, the veterans mortgage, that's only for veterans that have a physical disability. So it says you have received special adapted housing, which means if you have like an impairment, if you're paralyzed, if you're visually impaired, if you had to make any corrections to your house, like adding a ramp, because you need the wheel. Obviously, you can't put the wheelchair through the stairs. So any corrections that you had to do to your house that you were afforded that grant, that's when you can do the Veterans Mortgage Life Insurance. And the Veterans Mortgage Life Insurance is up to $200,000. It's not something that's awarded to the beneficiary. It's awarded to the bank. So let's say you were to pass away and you have $150,000 left on your mortgage, and you qualify for the Veterans Mortgage Life Insurance. That money is going to be paid directly to the bank, and the house will be paid off. If you pay off your house before you pass away, then that insurance is voided. The insurance doesn't exist anymore. So it's something to keep in mind. So if you know any veterans that are physically impaired and aren't too familiar with the Veterans Mortgage, go and log into the va.gov website, or you could shoot me a message directly you could put a comment in the YouTube's page, or if you follow me on Facebook, you can shoot me a message. I'm not a professional, but we could do the research together and see if you qualify for that or anything. What else? The traumatic injury protection is not too much for veterans. It's more for active duty personnel that went through a traumatic, a traumatic accident. And when I mean traumatic, I mean like you're not able to eat on your own. You can't walk. Like it was a very bad accident, or it could have been through combat. And it's just financial assistance while you're in the hospital. So that's only qualified for active duty. But there is more information on the website as well, va.gov. And the Family Service Members Group Life Insurance is for spouses and for dependents. So that is only when you are active duty. So when you're active duty, your spouse and your children can qualify for life insurance. When you get out of active duty, it's not like the VGLI. It doesn't transfer over to your spouse. So your spouse, within 120 days, they can transfer it to a commercial life insurance company. And like I said, there's a list on the website of all the commercial life insurance companies that are associated with the VA. It's not, I think it's like I said, it's 6 to 10 companies, New York Life, Northwestern. I'm not sure if John Hancock was part of that. I can't remember. But you can refer to the website as well. If you get a divorce prior to getting out the military and the service member or the spouse is still active duty, you can change that insurance possibly. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. You could change that insurance to commercial. And there's forms that you would use to change that within a certain amount of time if the person passes away, or if you get a divorce, or if anything else changes. So the maximum coverage for your spouse would be $100,000, and the maximum for each child would be $10,000, and that's only up to they're 18, unless they're going to college. And then I think it's till they're done going to college full time, if I'm not mistaken, or I think it's up to 22 years of age. I'm not quite sure. Keep in mind that when you're doing your life insurance, the premiums go up as you get older, because as you get older, you're more of a risk factor. And that's for any life insurance. That's it for life insurance if you're doing it through the VA, or life insurance if you're doing it through commercial purposes. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support I've received thus far. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you feel like this information can really help someone else, go ahead and share the information, comment if you have any updates, any links that could benefit someone else. And go ahead and shoot me a message if you want to have more information, or if you want to be in a possible future podcast. Who knows? We could probably work together or anything. But you guys have a great night, and I will see you at the next podcast.